Morning, heart and soul. This is, well, I consider it a very auspicious, well, all Sundays are. That's where we get our spirituality on in a deeper way. I know y'all are in deep and consistent spiritual practice, so that doesn't really apply to you. But for those who join in on Sunday, this is a very special Sunday for a couple of reasons. The first of which, for me personally, is that this is the first time in over a year that I've been in one room for an extended period of time with about 25 people. So there are about 25 of us here now. And let me speak to you very clearly about what's happening. We expect to reopen services for the public sometime in July. And I say we expect because we have to see what that requires so that we are fully ready. And in order to do that, this is a soft opening, if you will. So we've invited our leadership team, and just about half of those folks are here today. And we probably will do it again. Again, it will be a small closed group. I'm sure it'll be a version of the leadership team. Why? Because I can count on them. They already know the mission, vision, purpose, and intention. And so they are, frankly, charged with supporting us and ensuring that that's what we're executing. So that's why this group is here. So it already answers your question if you had one about why not you. Now, I know some of y'all are already thinking that I wouldn't be there if you paid me. I would not yet be in the room, and that's okay. It will be the full spectrum of responses. Those who are going to wait till November to show up, or next year sometime, and those who are already packed and ready to be here this afternoon. And we'll let you know. My expectation is that it will be in July, not before. I know California is expected to be fully open mid-June. For us, our church services will look, I'm expecting more like July. So just be in prayer with us. I'm going to ask you to trust the process, to trust us, and we're going to continue to hang out together in doing this. There is the other reason why today feels like such an auspicious occasion and an opportunity, in a sense, for me to think in terms of the, I'm thinking about how to apply our theme of adventure and faith and our call to rise up as well. Because today also happens to be the 100th anniversary of the massacre, the Tulsa massacre, which actually, today's the 30th, it was May 31st, 1921. The 31st and the 1st. So it was just, so I'm going to ask you to do the research. I'm not going to try to tell the whole story. I am going to tag it, though. And here's what my ask is for you today, though, is that often for as long as I have been a minister, and even before, what I notice is that folks gather and there's a message and it hits them in a way, and their response to the hit is not, how am I going to apply this in my life beginning right now? Instead, it's, God, I wish so-and-so was here, because so-and-so needed this message. I don't know. Is this going to be recorded? Because I need to get this to so-and-so. And it just tends to bypass any sense of, I am so grateful I'm here right now. Because had I missed this, I would have missed this hit about my life. And so I'm going to ask you to let so-and-so take care of so-and-so. Just for today. I know you can pick so-and-so up next week. But for right now, I'm going to ask you to be so-and-so. And for you to really suspend your doubt about the way it applies to you, and instead begin to see, how can I apply this in my life immediately? What does this have to do with me? Not any other person, situation, or circumstance. To focus on yourself is the idea. So 100 years ago, today essentially, here's what, it's almost like the Secret Massacre. And when I think about that, something in that idea, my blood starts doing a little something. Because how do you keep a massacre secret? Only in America. Now, I don't know that that's true, that it's only in America, but I've only lived and been a citizen of America, and I see it consistently here, where it happens in public view and thousands are impacted, if not millions, and then there is the reconstruction, the reinvention of history, so that it essentially either has it disappear or it turns it into, because for years it was known as the Tulsa riot, which is, by definition, it's entirely different. It's entirely different. A riot does not contain, it's not the bigger piece. And so there's more that's happening, and I'm going to ask you to do your own research. Develop a relationship with Google for starters, and then go beyond that. So here's the thing. In my preparation, that's so much a part of what I do that I love, is my research and preparation. And I learned two words that I feel like I want my life to be where I don't need to know these words. And one, I learned that it was pronounced two different ways, so I'm going to go with the easier one. Pogrom, which is a violent riot aimed at the massacre or expulsion of a local ethnic or religious group. Now, largely, it's associated with Jews. And so when we go back to the Holocaust, it's a word that is, but I'm applying it here as well. The other word is strafed. And it means to attack repeatedly at close range with bombs and machine gun fire from low-flying aircraft. Now, you know, part of our claim to fame as Americans is that we've never fought a war on our soil, as Americans, the United States of America, because if we say the Civil War, that's pre the organization of that in the most formal sense. But this activity would have you think maybe not so, because by all definitions, these two specific warlike actions and attacks took place in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but not in the entire city. Instead, it was in the district of Greenwood. Now, if you live here in the Oakland Bay area, you may be familiar with Montclair. And many people feel like Montclair is a city. It is not. It's a district of Oakland. So if you can imagine that there was an attack, but just in Montclair, by air and street armed attack, try to wrap your mind around that. Wherever you live, surely there's a city that within it is a large, prosperous district, because my sense is it only gets to be called a district by its prosperity and its need for other services that get it to be a district. I need you to hear this because there's a whole progression. So I'm going to move pretty quickly. What I want you to know is that there are Stratford and Gurley are the two men who in the early 1900s purchased massive tracts of land that ultimately became Greenwood. And so that's the area, if they're showing you the slide now, that's the area of Tulsa where all of this happened. But again, I need you to know it's just an area, and this attack did not accidentally spread out throughout all of Tulsa. There's so many things here, so many things that part of me wants to pull up a chair at this point because they're like so many things. Here's the thing that Hannibal B. Johnson, who is the education chair of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre Centennial Commission, said. He said, black folks faced an economic detour. So they've established themselves as this district because what I left out is that Greenwood was black. I want to say majority because there were a few other folks there, but for all purposes, the way we look at it now, it would be a black district. And prosperous, such that they had, it reminds me of what my mother described in her growing up in Texas. My mother's from Houston, Texas. And of course, it was segregated. So the way she described it is they had everything they need. They went to black schools. They went to, their entertainment was largely, she says, they did go to the main cinema in the town, and they'd be all upstairs. They had to be in the balcony. But it was very much a closed system, if you will. Black teachers, black preachers, black doctors, black dentists, black whatever you went to see, because you were not included. So this is what he's saying. He says that black folks faced an economic detour. He said that when they approached the gates of the wider Tulsa, they were excluded from the economy, the politics, from all of it. So what did they do? They were turned away there, so they built their own. They built their own, and what it created was a rather insular community. Now, for black folks, this is the way, when I first heard about Greenwood and other communities similar, that there's such pride in that. And I never thought about, in my own mind, heart, about how that hit against other folks. What Tulsa, the city of, what their economy was like, or how they perceived their business opportunities, because black folks had this insular economic system. We often speak of it ourselves in our closed groups and families and whatever, but we have since Greenwood, since the massacre, since Rosewood, since, we have come to and live in the live in the projected risk of organizing. There's even the book, the title of which is something like, "Why are all the black kids sitting together?" And it's because that's a real question. Why are y'all trying to be together? What are you up to? So I'm laying some groundwork here as best I can in the limited time that I have for us to do this. So what we have is Greenwood, this district of Tulsa that has an amazing economic system and social system, and dare I say, had it going on. Here's the thing, it became the talk of the town. But I told you it wasn't a town, it was a district. So it's the talk of the town. And out of that, there's a response to it. So there is an incident, and I'm not even going to try to, because there are a few different versions, but none of them contain anything that would be worthy of a city attack where officials, by the way, both of those words require the system to do it. It's not like family against family. It's not the Hatfields and whomever. It's not that. This is where the system, where the power, where the officials, where they authorize the tanks and the airplanes and whatever is going to be dropped and however it's going to happen. It's that kind of conspiracy. It's not even a conspiracy. It's just that that's what has been determined that is going to happen. So when this happens, let me just tell you a little bit about the town that most black folks live together. The folks who were in Tulsa, most of them lived in Greenwood. And the idea here is that it included several grocers and newspapers and movie theaters. Now, right now, what we experience in the inner city is this social service devastation. What is it called? There's a term for the desert. Exactly, in terms of services, the grocery stores that are required, the medical resources, the healthcare, all of it. Yes, you understand what I'm saying? But Greenwood was entirely different than that. So doctors and dentists and lawyers and clergy and the large black churches and resources for everyone. taking care of themselves, entertainment, cinemas, live theaters as well, hotels. Hotels, more than one, and one in particular was said to have been at such a standard that it really was known. Now, in the vernacular, you can extrapolate that there'd be haters. Because whatever the incident was so insignificant and so kind of one-on-one, not unusual for the time. Not unusual at all. That kind of incident had happened many times, and it had more often a more closed and inappropriate and exaggerated response where black folks and white folks come together and black folks end up lynched and killed. But it never resulted in taking out an entire town district. Am I making sense with this? Okay. So they had their own leaders and their own capital. It was the reinvestment. Now, one could say because they could only invest in themselves, if that makes sense. Okay. So what I want to invite you to do, what I found online, is that the New York Times has an interactive program. And so I'm going to ask them to put it in the chat, and y'all can see it on the screen right now, that when you go, you can, it moves you through the district. And as you don't even have to click, but as you, move your mouse through, it begins to light up what the different buildings represent. And what I love about it is that it moves it from this global kind of idea that could be an exaggeration, that they had pretty much everything. You get to see, oh my goodness, look at the ice creamery. Look at this. Look at all the cafes. Look at that. And in many cases, in some of the cases, they'll also tell you a little bit about the folks who owned it or who founded it, who started it, and their interconnection and all that they did. I want you to see that. I want you to know also, I'm going to get all up in your little house business now, is that there are about 3 or 4 documentaries and features that are out right now being currently televised that y'all can record or just, I don't suggest you try to watch it with popcorn because there's no way to watch people, devastation like this. It's not entertainment, but it's what we must know. It's what we must know. Some of you will be moved to read some of the books that are out about it, but regardless, it's important that you know. This is a composite image that just gives you a sense of Greenwood ablaze during the massacre. Because sometimes we talk about this, but we have a different picture. But when you see that kind of smoke, I want you to have an awareness of the magnitude of what's happening. And then there are a few other photos that we selected just because I don't want to just gloss over it. I want to give you more of a real time, just a sense of that it qualifies as a massacre. We've seen riots. We've been present. We've seen them televised. This is something else. Yes, y'all? Yes. So, in 1965, in response to the March on Washington and Bloody Sunday church bombing in Birmingham, Alabama, Curtis Mayfield wrote a song that has a timeless theme. And I want us to apply it. You know, it's what I do. I'm going to bring the song and the integration of it. So I'm wanting to plant it in you so that you can join me in this awareness that in the lyrics of this particular song, because he has a whole catalog of work, much of which could qualify for what I said so far. But in this particular one, he says, people get ready. There's a train a-coming. Now, whenever we think about train, Some of us could immediately, in this context, go to the Underground Railroad. Whatever it is, we know it's a way out. We know it's going to take us a distance. That's what a train is. We're never thinking about, I'm going to take the train from here to there. It's, I'm going to take the train away from here. I'm going to go the distance by train. It's also this notion of there's a train a-coming. I'm going to liken it to the way that those in the room, we were playing some music just before we were going live, that all were connected with thanksgiving and blessing. And so I'm going to say to you that this notion of a train a-coming is about a blessing on blessing on blessing on blessing on blessing, that it's continuous and non-stopping blessing. I'm trying to say that this is a time for readiness, for divine preparation, for an awareness that regardless of what has happened and because of what has happened, taking all of that into consideration, that there's a moment right here and now where I am getting ready to take the train that includes all the blessings, all the good, from a point of thanksgiving. Look here, he says very specifically, you don't need no baggage. Don't bring that mess with you. You don't need no baggage. Don't bring nothing. Stand in the right now. Stand in the truth of your current beingness, your current awareness. Just bring you. Might need to do a little forgiveness in order to get on. But the idea is travel light, travel pure. And then he says very specifically, just get on board. Whatever you have to do, get your butt on the train. Be there before it leaves the station. Is this making sense? He says, what? All you need is faith. All you need is faith. Faith is the key. Open the door. Y'all know the lyrics. Open the door and board it. Faith is the key. Use it to open the door for all of the blessings to move beyond because. You don't need no ticket. Say you don't need no ticket. But what you do need is gratitude. A heart of thanksgiving and a spirit of gratitude. And he says very clearly, just thank the Lord. So that's the point from which, the understanding from which, the awareness from which I'm asking that you hear this song. Curtis Mayfield wrote a song about it. Here it goes.
just thank the Lord. And I don't need no ticket. Just thank the Lord. Oh, yeah.
So people, get ready. Get ready right now. There's a train a-coming, and y'all, I got the pogo stick in my hand. You know I'm not getting on it for the same reasons I didn't get on it before, but I want you to see it as a metaphor for the requirement that in order to get on the train and stay on the train, we're going to have to go deep and rise high. That it's all required. It's not like which one you want to do. Do you want to rise high or do you want to go deep? You're going to have to go deep in order to rise high, if that makes sense. And if not, you're going to have to take some classes. You're going to have to get and sit more deeply, more stillness, more availability to the divine guidance that will help you to sense the essential nature of putting your all into it. And going as deeply as you can. Just day before yesterday, I was walking down my block, and a little child in my neighborhood on my block that I'd never seen before across the street was on a pogo stick. And I said, well, now, I don't need no signs. Just I already understand clearly what time it is. But it was just to watch this kid that I'm guessing was somewhere 9 to 11 years old, was just had it going on. And you realize, like I've been saying to you, that there's no way to make this work without going deep first. To get the propellant to it, to get the jump to it, you have to take it. You got to go deep. And I think sometimes that scares us. Look at here. I also talked about Mark 9. We're not done. Because this notion in Mark 9, and it's the story where the man brings his son who is, we're imagining, it sounds like an epileptic seizure. Who knows what it is? But when I say that might give you a picture to help you have a sense of it. And what we know is that the master teacher, Yeshua, said to the father that if you're able to believe, everything is, see, look at here. If you can get into the depth of it, you can rise into the height of whatever is possible in your situation and circumstance. That it is the law. It's not like because I like you. It's not like because you came here today. It's not because you've done something good. It has to do with the law. And so if you can believe so completely that you put your all into it. And it is said, Scripture records that now, again, depends on the translation, but the gist of it is this, that the father cried out, just weeping tears, that I believe. I really do believe. Help thou, often says my unbelief, but there's a translation that I'm growing to prefer, help thou my little belief. Because I believe, but I don't believe enough to do what you're doing. So help me believe more deeply. Help me to believe more widely. Help me to believe more highly. Help me to move beyond my limited faith. And I think that meets us all exactly where we are. Because I've never met nobody is without faith. The question is what you got faith in. I told you before, I learned that I had amazing faith in Bart. Just sitting there riding. Got on, got a seat, and then got busy doing other stuff. I wasn't sitting up close watching the driver. I wasn't checking no credentials to make sure this wasn't a runaway. I don't know what's going on with that person at all. But just riding safe when we get in our cars. And some of y'all say, well, pedestrian. As a pedestrian, let's go there. Because what you know in California, you got the right of way. And you do legally, but you don't have no bumpers. But you have faith in the drivers you don't even know. Or the condition of their cars which by looking at them could be questionable. But it's what do we believe in? And what I'm come today to say, let's draw our energy in so that we're believing in what matters. Come on, Greenwood consciousness. Let's believe in something else. So see, this is it. I had a hard time coming to y'all today because, look, don't go nowhere, Pam. Here's why. We know for sure that it's done unto us as we believe. Here's what I have to say about Greenwood and Rosewood and all of our individual experiences in life that ended in our own devastation. That often they spook us. You understand what I mean when I say spook? In my own life, I've had those situations where I'm rocking and rolling. I know what I know. I'm doing what I do. I'm being who I be. And then something happens that challenges it for me. And on a good day, I just go right on, like, I don't know what you're looking at. Situation. I don't know what you're looking at, circumstance, because I got this. And then on other days, I need somebody to remind me of my very name. Because I've been so spooked by the situation. So here's what I have to say. This is why I didn't want to spend a lot of time talking about the details of Greenwood, because I want to talk about the personal impact. I want to talk about the psychological, the emotional wounding, the trauma. I want to talk about the PTSD that nobody immediately talks about. That there's no way to have gone through that and not be affected. There's no way. But having said that, let me just say that the record shows that some of those folks who were burned out and devastated out of Greenwood stayed and rebuilt. There's a consciousness. That is recorded in Scripture as those, it often sounds so unfair. Those that have will have more. And from those that don't have, what they have will be taken. And it's a law it's by right of consciousness. So there are some folks that you can't take it. Even if it's not physically there, they get it from where they got the first one. That's an advanced application of the law, though. That's an advanced practice. For most of us, for many of us, so many it makes most. The devastation, the post-traumatic stress syndrome, and the very intention of it, by the way. What is it called? Gaslighting? The very intention of it is to keep you unable to respond in the most positive way, in the most productive, the most beneficial way. Is this making sense? So the very thing is designed, whatever the offense was, it didn't involve the whole district. It didn't involve the hotel and the church and the school and the. It didn't include all of that. Oh, shoot. Bring me my little folded paper over there, Valda, the one in the chair, because I realize I do want to say something about something. Look, it is done unto us as we believe, so our work is to keep believing no matter what. Not easy. That's why you got to get on the train. You got to use your key of faith to get on the train and then pretty much lock yourself in the, what they call a little private the cab, whatever it is. Car, in your private car on the train, just in your mind, because that's where the train is. So just see yourself, use your little key to get on, get in your private car and lock it. And just be still knowing what you have to know. I just got that I needed to tell you that the Red Cross reported that over 1,200 houses were burned, 215 houses were looted but not burned, and the total number of buildings not burned but looted and robbed were 314. The Tulsa Real Estate Exchange estimated $1.5 million worth of damages. I'm going to ask somebody to Google for me what that is translated to $2021, please, just so we're clear. And 1/3 of that in the black business district. So, see, I wouldn't want in my Sunday spiritual talk that you are going to apply in your life, I would not want to pretend that the intention of this massacre was not specifically to devastate this district on every level. The intention to ensure as best they could that the application of "it is done unto you as you believe" would have you believe you couldn't. Because if you believe you can't, you can't. And so it was intended so that you would believe that you couldn't. Okay, so the $1.5 million worth of damages today, that's $20 million. I just need you to have a sense about what we're talking about. And what I'm really talking about is, forgive me when I say I don't care. You know I do, but I'm saying I don't care enough for that to keep me from using my key and boarding the train to freedom. I done shouted at y'all so much. Pardon me. Look, Ernest Holmes offers that so far as you are concerned, that the law holds your personal life wherever you place it. So if you place it in fear, if you place it in doubt, but it's like there's a place in this where he talks about that it's like you decide where you put the furniture. And you can leave it there and stumble over it every day, a few times during the day. Or you can decide, I'm tired of stumbling with this, and move it. Or get rid of that. But whatever you do, that's where you hold it. Your energy holds it that way. So this notion of don't bring no baggage is a real thing. That you get to change your position, your thinking, your attitude, your outcomes anytime you want. So this law of faith and the application of it, it operates with integrity on the definite idea, the thought, and your expectancy and acceptance of whatever you implant. So for the ones who said, sure enough, that's what happened. They could not have denied that the building no longer existed. But they went on building and then rebuilt and had their wealth in whatever way. Now that's this transfer of wealth and generational wealth. That's a whole thing that I'm hoping y'all are already thinking about, because they don't give me that much time to talk about all the stuff. So look, this idea is that we're planting ideas in mind, but we must leave them in mind. They must require, a seed will need the darkness, Ricky Byers wrote, and to change into new light. So this whole idea that the seed has to be left in the creative soil of mind until it can mature. But for anybody who has a cross purpose, then the maturation of your divine idea, then the goal would be to interrupt it. It would be to purposely dig it up, to purposely interfere with the process, yes? Think reconstruction. Think school to prison pipeline. Think, I'm just wanting to plant a few seeds. Think affirmative action backlash. Because in each of those, you got something going on that's working, and then you have to have something interrupt that, which is the equivalent of digging up the seed. So I'm telling you how the thing works. I'm also saying, open the door and board it. Don't get caught up in that. Know that that's a thing, a way that it can unfold, but decide that you're not taking that. But I know this is a hard teaching. This is a hard teaching because everything often, so many things in our enculturation, so many things in our enculturation says talk about the problem. Convene a circle where we start off and essentially it turns into, oh no, it's worse than that. Oh no, you ain't heard nothing yet. And there is value. Please hear me. There's value in telling the story, but don't get on the train with that baggage. There's a point at which you say, okay, I done told that story long enough. I'm ready for the next story. And that varies with each person, how long that takes. So you take your time, but just know you have a key that is the law of faith. And when you're ready, use it so that you don't stay locked in a situation and circumstance of someone else's determination. Now, it can never be someone else's determination while you're living it out. See, I'm wanting you to sense that choice in there. Someone else set it up, but then you decide. So what we often have is legions of folks with PTSD. Legions of folks who have been traumatized by racist systemic practices of the worst sort. That I see why I have a bit of a, I don't have an understanding, I don't overstand this, but I have an inkling of how do you tell your children that that's what you did? How do you tell your grandchildren? Now, some folks do, because that's the legacy intentionally. But more broadly, it's problematic. So I can see that, in our own lives, we don't want everything on Facebook. We're not Instagramming all the stuff. And so likewise, you can see that some of this would be hidden. But some of our work is to say, there's no way to heal it if we hide it. And so it's our work. We can't count on the folks who feel they benefit from hiding it because they don't know the law, clearly. But for the people who know, my mama said this is yours because you know. I would forever be naming people who should ought to be doing that. And she's like, oh no, you know. So you must do and live in accordance with what you know. And I have to tell you, no matter how I try to explain, but no, I kind of want to do it the way they do it. She's like, they don't know what you know. And I kind of wanted to trade in my knowing. My consciousness at the time was that, well, can I not know? But the lesson was, no, you already know. You know better. So if you're in the sound of my voice this morning, there's something you already know. I didn't tell you. You knew it just like you knew to tune in. You already know that the seeds that you desire, the garden, the harvest that you are intending, envisioning, praying about, that it must be watered with hope and fertilized with expectancy. And you cannot simultaneously cry about it and weep about it and be traumatized by it and be in divine expectancy, enthusiasm, and gratitude about it. The joyous expectancy is real. It is evidence of an undeniable faith. And that, babies, works. An undeniable faith So the master teacher taught the operation of this law of cause and effect, which is what I'm talking about here. By any name, it simply is talking about that what you put in is very related to what you get out. But it's not a passing thing. This is not where you just say, I put some in, but I don't remember when, and I'm sure it ain't that. This is about the constant and consistent investment is what this is. And once you're in there, nothing can change it, he says. Nothing alters the fact that love alone begets love. That peace attracts peace. And that what you give out is what you get back. So this is why in the very beginning I said, don't start. Don't start telling me about other people. Often in any teaching that goes right to the point of how you to be, somebody wants to know, what about them? What about the people who? How come that? We're not talking about them. And we can't, because we don't know what we don't know. And even if you think you do, you don't. And you off topic anyhow. Because it's about you. And the focus is on what are you doing? What are you giving? Give because it activates giving. It's not transactional. It's energetic. When you're giving, you are opening. So I know it's been taken from you. But to them that has, they gonna get. Has the consciousness of knowing I can do this even without that. I can start again. Is there somebody in your life that has started again? That you marvel at? You're like, how you, what? And you look up and they like, oh, and sometimes we just feel a little ashamed, don't we? Because you really thought that was down and out. And you look up and they like doing, and you're like, wait, let me catch up. And it's real. Because when we do that, the law responds in a way that what we are then given is in good measure, pressed down, overflowing, somebody says, running over is how it works. And we don't need to force it or coerce it in any way, shape, or form, but we must obey the law. You gotta obey the law. We are on a true adventure in faith. And this 100th anniversary is reminding us of just how deep, how wide, and how high this adventure is. It has everything. Here's the thing. I'm close with this. That if you, each of us individually, if I can see the God in everything, then Ernest Holmes says, God will look back at me through everything. So, not literally, but get the energetic of that. What's the order here? It's not, I'm waiting on God to see me in everything, and then I'm going to see God in everything. It's that I have to prime the pump. I'm seeing God in everything. So you see, this 100th anniversary is bringing this to an awareness. Now, there are a lot of folks who knew and always knew and were already working on reparations and whatever they were doing. But there are a whole bounty of folks who, Greenwood what? Greenwood who? Greenwood how? But if they get through this year not knowing Greenwood, they are really hiding out. Just refusing to know and be aware. But can you feel the conscious awareness of the truth? Of it becomes the answer to the silly question, why not y'all? Because there's been conscious, intentional, consistent effort to ensure that it wouldn't be. And even with the foot on the collective neck, it still has been. There's been rising. We've never stopped rising. And that's what I want us to get. That we can go as high as we want, but we gotta be in alignment with the law. We're going to have to let go of the ain't it awful story. It is awful, but we can't live day to day in ain't it awful and sore. We can know it was awful and set an agenda, set a strategy, set laws and systems in place. Come on, talk about the policy of it, the politics of it, all of that. But it's got to come from using, what did he say? Faith is the key. Open the door and board it. So look at here. I'm introducing right now Curtis Mayfield to Sam Cooke. When I say, just in the words of Curtis Mayfield, keep on pushing. Keep on pushing. That's my final word to you. Well, almost. This is the final leg of the words, is keep on pushing. And then I just want to say that there have been times when all of us thought that we couldn't last any longer. And in every situation, we realize that we're able to carry on. We thought we couldn't. But then we realize by our life experience that we're able to carry on. I know it's been a long time coming, y'all. I'm not tripping. I know it's been a long time coming. But I know for sure a change is going to come.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it is. Then I go to my brother. And I say, brother, help me please. But he wind up knocking me back down on the knee. There've been times that I thought I couldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able, Father, to carry on. And it's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it is. Yes it is. Yes it is. Said I know that a change is gonna come one day. I know a change gonna come. Yes it is.
with me. In our meditation today, we're going to see if we can draw very close to the spirit of acceptance. We wish to identify our lives with the divine presence and enter into conscious communication, conscious communion with the Spirit which is within and around us. Let us take then as our thought, let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap, if we faint not. And as we think about the meaning of these words and enter into the spirit of them, let us try to arrive at a place of complete acceptance in our minds, a place where we actually believe that there is a law of good and a power greater than we are responding to us always and in all ways. It is this inward feeling and acceptance that constitutes the real faith and helps us to surrender this faith into the law of good. It was his complete surrender to the law of good that enabled Yeshua to perform his wonderful miracles of faith. As we meditate together then, letting go of every disturbing thought, we turn quietly, peacefully, and reverently to the Spirit, which is not only around us, but also within us. It is this Spirit with which we commune, and the law of good in which we have faith. So let each say quietly to him and herself, I know that I can make conscious use of the divine law of my being. I know that this law reacts immediately and creatively to my faith. I know that when I speak this word for myself, that there is a direct reaction toward me. I know that when I speak it for others, there is a direct reaction toward them. There is no doubt or uncertainty in my consciousness. I identify myself with the good I desire. I have complete confidence that the law of good will respond to me by creating the object of this desire. I have a quiet contentment and an inner sense of peace. I have an enthusiastic sense of well-being. I know that all the power there is for me. Therefore, I put on the whole armor of faith today and every day. I expect good. I anticipate meeting new friends. I joyously anticipate contacting new situations which increase my livingness. My life is an adventure in faith. I know that wonderful things are happening to me. I know that everything I do shall turn into good for myself and for others. And for this and so much more, I am eternally grateful. I let go. I let God. Releasing this word, Ernest Holmes' words, vibrating from my energetic presence out of my consciousness. His words, me breathing life into them. I propel them now into the perfect activity of law. I know that it's done and done well in the divine, in the law of faith, in the law of good. And I let it be, now and forevermore. I seal it for all eternity by simply saying, Amen, Ashe, and so it is. Love matters, y'all.